Firstly, we have Manuranjith Ranganathan with us. Manuranjith Ranganathan is a big picture person. Strategy and challenging paradigms is his second nature, making the seemingly impossible possible with his focus that drives results. In 2016, at the age of 21, Manu founded CK's Bakery with the aim to produce and offer a range of high quality baked products at affordable prices. The celebration cakes and grilled sandwiches became an instant hit and made them stand out amongst other bakeries. In over 3 years, CK's has grown to 80 plus outlets across South India with 70 outlets in Chennai alone. Firstly, Manu, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you for this opportunity.
So, you are an entrepreneur, right? So, entrepreneurship is something that runs in your blood. Could you
Yeah,
tell us something about your family and the line of entrepreneurs it has had?
sure. Can you hear me proper?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is
Sure.
it
Yeah, go ahead.
cool? So, actually, so my grandfather, is where it all started. My father's side, my father's father. So he invented the sachet, and this is like the biggest innovation in the FMCG sector. Um, his name is Chinni Krishnan. So if you look him up, actually my father is doing an award in his name called the Innovation Awards that happens every year. So he's like the backbone in our family to, he has inspired like all the generations. So he was also a maths teacher, and he had this room that, he would just carry out different experiments all the time. And this sachet was something which was new. And then he started a company called Velvet. So they used to sell shampoos in sachets. It was very new. And then my father has five siblings. So the eldest brother took over the company as soon as, he passed away. My grandfather passed away. And my dad worked along with, his brothers. But then he came out and then he founded Cabin Cap. So he started his own shampoo called Chick Shampoo, uh, which was also sold in sachets. So if you look at all my father's siblings, all of them are entrepreneurs. So one thing that they always tell the second generation is that, my grandfather always used to say, don't work for anybody, but give a lot of employment. That's how our family should be. So I think they all took it up very seriously. So my father's youngest brother, he has founded a salon chain called Naturals. So it's the largest salon chain in India, and there are many in Bangalore as well. So my father's other two sisters, one has hospitals in Andhra Pradesh, and the other has they run a school in their hometown. And so all of them are entrepreneurs. And if you look at the second generation, I started CK's. Um, my cousin brother, he started this Chinese takeaway called Redbox,
Mm.
which is doing really well in Chennai. So he's also coming into Bangalore. Um, and many other cousins also have, they have their own venture. They've all started instead of directly going and joining, their parents' business immediately. Two of my sisters, one is a baker. She has her own Instagram page and she's doing baking, from our house. And my elder sister, she started a school again, a kids school, and she also manages our schools and colleges in our hometown. So this actually, as you asked, it runs in our blood. That's how we've been brought up. So
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, what Manu was also talking about was CK's. They were the first ones who actually pioneered the sachet in India also. So it was something that was revolutionary, and I can say that they were the leaders in the market when it came to starting a product that is so innovative. So, Manu, you started directly. I mean, you actually never started directly from the top management position. When you got into the business, you never actually became the CEO or you didn't sit with the other board members. Rather, you chose to start on your own, right? You started your own venture. And why did you do that?
so I always knew that I had to join my father's business, but I wanted to do that through merit. It should not happen because it's I'm so and so son. So I can just go sit there. I won't do justice to the company or people who are working there. So it was either I study in a very good MBA school and then slowly start off from the bottom and then build myself up in the company, in my father's company, or I start a business. So I chose the latter. I wanted to start my own business because I've seen my father and his brothers and just our family, right? They've all built something from scratch, and I wanted to experience that, like creating your own brand, the struggles and challenges that come along with that. So I thought that will be a much better learning experience than joining an MBA. And uh, I think I've taken the right decision. So that was the reason.
Okay. And whom would you consider to be your biggest mentor when it comes to business?
My father, definitely. Like all our conversations from when I was young has only been about business. So we only talk about business at the dinner table, or that's what he can think of. And our conversations are only about that, new ideas, new things. So but one fortunate thing that is that my father never interfered in my business. He never
Give
he's
you a free
never
hand.
he's never he knows I've made mistakes, and he's told me, see, I don't think this is the right decision you're making, but he's never forced his opinion upon me, or he's never stepped in. So that has been a big learning, because if I just start doing whatever he says, then there is nothing in it for me, because only when I experience failure is when you come out of it. And yeah, so in that way he's my biggest mentor.
And since you started in 2016, what has been your best and worst piece of advice that you ever got?
I actually started in 2015 June. I think my intro
Oh,
something got
2015.
messed.
Okay,
And
2015.
2015 is when I started. uh, Best piece of advice, I would say, invest in capex as you grow, right? So that has been the best piece of advice. And the worst has been franchising will not work for my business. That actually slowed me down, in the initial stages. I
Mhm.
actually believe that franchising is not for my business.
Okay. But then that's something that you do, right? That's something that CK does today.
Yeah, that our business is only franchising now. We don't own any company store, so that's the worst. So actually, in the first couple of years, I actually, because I was new to retail food, I was just new to business. So I used to talk a lot to, established people in the food industry, and they would always say franchising is not for your business. The numbers don't work out. There's not enough in the pie to share. So, but was proved wrong.
And what's the vision that you have for CK's?
So the vision is want to take it all over India. Um, I'm proud of saying that we are the biggest chain in Tamil Nadu, but I would like to make the same in other parts of India with two more brands as well, not just CKs, but accompanying it with two more brands. So that's the vision.
Okay, and one thing I've never quite understood, like especially with your segment,
Yeah.
is how do you go about marketing your brand? I mean, what has really worked for you?
Okay. So so that's the question everybody asks me, and even I was doing it, but I didn't have an answer, because I always thought marketing was you know putting up these big ads on TV or newspapers. But then what I realized that worked for my brand was word of mouth
Mhm.
and my locations, right? So those two are the best way to market a retail brand. uh, why I say location is good locations, and also what helped me was opening 50 meters within, opening multiple CK's bakery, but in very close proximity in a very dense area. So suddenly, when a lot of people see your brand in that locality, they think that you're a very big brand. So that really worked out when I started in Chennai. So the first four outlets, they were maybe like 500 meters apart from each other. So that and word of mouth, give your best quality and service. Um, People will come back.
So essentially, you focused on identifying the right locations and
Yeah,
just focusing on your quality and your service.
exactly.
Nothing else. Okay.
Nothing else.
Great. And
And obviously, to add on to that, bringing out new products continuously,
yeah, because
innovation, new
something that
different.
I've heard about CK's is that you are a little different from the other bakeries. And what is it that sets you apart from the others?
Um, okay, so what sets me apart is, maybe I could answer that question in two parts.
Hmm.
One is from the customer perspective. I would say that we freshly prepare cakes in each of our 80 outlets, which doesn't happen in any chain. And so basically what happens is I can serve any flavor, any kg, any shape in 10 minutes.
Okay.
That is possible if an entrepreneur just has one bakery and he has his small oven and a chef behind. But across a large chain, that is not possible. So that sets us apart. So we are able to customize locally, and we have freshly grilled sandwiches and paninis, which you don't find in your uh, other bakeries, especially in Tamil Nadu and Chennai. So that sets us apart. And from purely an operation standpoint, and what I would say is change the course of CKs is that a challenge that each organization faces as they expand is customization, right?
Hmm.
Be it any industry. Um, how can you cater to each individual customer's need?
Hmm.
That was a challenge, especially in cakes, because the expectation, because it's a celebration, right? And everybody, like if you go to a party, you want to beat that cake that you saw in that party. You want to buy a better cake for your kid, right? And I can't do that um, if I'm going to produce that centrally. Imagine 80 stores sending in 10 customized requests per store every day.
Hmm.
It is going to be a nightmare. So what happened the first 2 years, we used to produce all our customized cakes in a central location. So right to minute details, like if it's a Barbie cake, like at the bottom they would want red color, blue color. On the top they would want this, they would want this design, they would want the letter to be written in gold and whatever. So all these requests consolidated in your facility, just imagine. So it was a nightmare every day when dispatch used to happen. Either the cake used to get damaged, because if it gets damaged, you can't retouch it, and somewhere or the other we might miss a particular request. So I never slept the first 2 years. Then what I decided was, so everybody used to say, see, that's the challenge, you can't grow and you can't open multiple stores. That's all. Maybe you can just open 20-30 stores. But then I wanted to break that. So I came up with this training program where I can teach anybody cake making in 23 days.
Hmm.
Even you.
Hmm.
I can teach you how to ice a cake in 23 days. So we put up a solid program, and then first I had to convince my team. I was
Hmm.
like, let's break it into videos. Why can't we teach everybody? What is the issue? So we just broke it. Then the issue was, my stores are just 200 square feet. How are we going to make cake in that 200 square feet space? That was another challenge. But then again, I took out an A4 sheet paper and I just drew, told them this is why we're going to make. We're just going to use 50 square feet for cake making. Immediately in the next 1 week, we converted 10 stores into icing.
Hmm.
And then what happened was, a store suddenly they started doing 30% extra revenue.
Wow.
Because if you go to a bakery, Ajul, like what happens is, there are only strawberry cakes and you want a chocolate cake.
Yeah.
You will only get it tomorrow,
Hmm.
right? Now I can give you the chocolate cake in 5 minutes,
Hmm.
which others weren't able to do.
Yeah.
So that changed the whole thing. And just decentralizing and making customized cake in each location just changed the whole thing for CKs. And another strategic shift that sets us apart from competition is, we do not own the front end or the back end. We
Okay.
just own the brand. And like maybe somewhat similar to McDonald's. We lease the properties, to our franchisees. So we have control over the properties, but otherwise we don't own anything. We just own the brand. We focus on innovation. So that was a big shift, because the management had to take a call. Am I going to focus on day-to-day operations, or am I going to focus on building the brand?
Mhm.
So front end, we said, okay, we'll move to franchising. The back end, what happened was, as soon as I decentralized customization, the production became very simple. It is either a vanilla base or a chocolate base for a cake. It's not these 50,000, customized requests that are going to come in.
Mm.
Right. So that became very simple. And then there was no point in CKs doing it, so we found a third party unit who can manufacture it for us. So those were two key shifts that helped us grow.
And yeah, so you basically decentralized your entire uh, company's operations.
Yeah.
And one thing I was also curious is you said so did your team actually learn in 23 days, or was it like something that, because you shifted to this new model, right? Did,
So my team knew, but there was always, because see, cake is only a chef can do cakes, right? That is always there in your mind. That was the mind block. When we actually broke it down, they were surprised that we can teach them in 23 days.
oh, okay.
So any franchisee that comes to takes up a CKS, they have to pass a practical examination of making a cake in 5 minutes. All of them know how to make half kg and 1 kg cakes, because they are prepared for the worst case scenario. Suddenly, chef is on leave. There's some problem. They're still able to make cakes. They
Yeah,
can run the show. So that changed the game.
yeah. And so essentially, in all your outlets, we can say that you have a different cake. I mean, it's customizable, right? Like it's not the same. It's not standardized, is it?
No. So what we do is we have standard cakes. We
Mhm.
have standard cakes, standard flavors that they have to follow the SOPs of the standards of CK.
Okay.
If you want to add any design to that, then is where the customization comes in. But the
Oh,
flavor, the amount of cream is standard.
amazing. And what were the challenges that you faced when you scaled to multiple locations, and you also scaled to cities, different
Yeah.
cities? What was the
So
challenge?
I would say that we didn't do a very good job, especially, um adapting to the market and finding the right partners. Those were two big challenges, and I think we can do a much better job in that. So we are working on that.
Is there any particular reason, like how do you go about choosing locations, like outside Tamil Nadu or whatever, like let's say Bangalore or Mumbai? Um, did you have, is it mainly because it's a metropolitan city, or is it something more strategic in approach?
See, so why we choose these cities is because first we do a market research and see what is the size of the industry, right?
Okay.
So if people, there are a lot of bakeries, and there is an opportunity.
Okay.
So that was stepping into the city was the right move, but then are we that different was a big question when you move to other cities, right? So there, I think we should do a better job, and also finding the right partners to invest in your brand. So these two work together. If you have the right model, right products, but if you don't have the right partner to take you forward, then again you mess up. So these are things that we're working on.
And one thing is, how did you build your team? Like when you started off your core team, and how many people did you like have initially?
Um, so the first I had like 4 staffs, including me,
Okay.
and then we had 8. And so the first guy who joined still works for me. Um, so it was just now we are at a size of, when we had own stores, we grew to a size of 300 employees. And then now, because we moved to franchising, we just have 50 employees in our company role. But indirectly, we have around 400 employees. So, I one thing that I learned when I built my team was, the right attitude is important. The right attitude with a mix of experience is important. So that was a big learning.
So one thing is, if you had like a choice to do things differently in your business, what would you have done differently?
Hmm. Maybe I would have, not over invested in my production facility in the first 2 years. I
Okay.
did that. That was a major mistake. And also because, then it didn't make sense to have that big of a facility when you're going to decentralize, right?
Yeah. So that
So
your
that was a mistake. And I should have started franchising. Yeah? What are you saying?
no, go on.
I didn't hear you.
No, go on.
And I should have started franchising, earlier. I started a bit late. Yeah.
Okay. So one thing that I also personally deal with, I wanted to ask you because I wanted to hear your perspective because I deal with most of the people I talk to or interact on a day-to-day basis. They're all twice my age. So how do you deal
Okay.
with people who are like a lot more senior to you at work, and has it been a challenge for you?
So I think I'm one of the youngest in my team. I'm only 26. So anybody I recruit is older than me. But then, see, eh, more than power, they should really believe in your leadership style. That's how I think you can get good value addition from the employee who's older than you. But I think once you get them to believe in your strategies and when you show them that it actually works, right,
Mm.
then I don't think it's a challenge anymore.
And
So for example, in my dad's company, I don't work there, but certain audits are carried out by my dad's company. Because it's a group company, they do audits from the bigger organization.
mm,
um, and basic support functions like finance, and my finance still reports to Kevin Care's finance team. So there's a very senior person. So when he started working along with me, I wouldn't say there was some friction, but then for him to actually believe that I'm going to change the course of CKs was very hard, because I was talking a lot, but then he actually thought it was pretty impossible. This was when we were stepping into franchising, and uh, we had a big production facility. Our overheads were big. But then when I made it happen, then everything was perfect. And then there wasn't a question of age. And when there are senior people with a mix of youngsters, it actually brings in a lot of balance. So I just feel that once you get them on your side by proving to them that one of your strategies work, then I really don't think there's a challenge.
so it's basically getting over that initial stage of doubt that they have, and once you are able to
Exactly.
show results,
Exactly.
you have that. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
And what would you have done if you hadn't started the business that you are in now?
Definitely another business.
Definitely
Definitely another.
something, but in the sense, something that you would do on your
Definitely.
own.
That
Definitely.
that no doubt in that.
And what is your definition of success?
My definition of success, just achieving the targets and goals you set for yourself, and don't worry about others. And obviously, running a profitable business is my definition of success in business.
And Manu, for those who start out, like let's say we have a lot of people, especially they're 18, 19, 20, 21. Um, what according to you are the fundamentals that they should actually know when they start off the business? What are the fundamentals?
See, something that I fortunately did well with using at that particular time was good market first CKs. Went out a lot and interacted with a lot of customers of the competition, you know, to get a feel of what is missing in the market, right? So I started talking to the competition's employees, the customers that walk in to understand. See, most of the time, customers don't know what they want. That's where an entrepreneur comes, and he comes up with this magic where the product exceeds the expectations, because they really like. Do you think the customer did you think that they wanted an Apple iPhone? No, but Apple knew that this is something subconsciously that they want, right? They couldn't actually spell it out that I actually want an Apple iPhone, I want these features. No. So you interact with competition, the customers, and you identify, okay, what are the challenges that they're facing, or they want something like this, something like that. So you put all that together, and then you create a product. So I think that is very important, doing a proper research, because most of the times what you want doesn't necessarily sell, right?
Yeah,
People
like
want something.
someone think that, okay, I have this idea, so
Yeah,
jump into it.
exactly. Your idea, you would like that idea, or you might think that might work, but does the customer really want that? Is there an opportunity for that? Is that idea scalable? So if you want to create a big business, you have to first see what are the entry barriers. Is can somebody easily enter this business? Do you want to get into a business like that? No, because when there's no entry barrier, then the pricing and margin comes under pressure, right? Valuation is a problem. So there are multiple things that you have to first decide on what you want out of this business. Then based on that, you do a proper research, and then after that, you should get your product costing, your investments, ROI all aligned. Okay, when do I want to take, basically when do I want to take the money out? What margins am I looking at? It will change. It's not like whatever you fix, it's going to happen in the first 3 months, but you should have an idea. You should prepare yourself for the worst case. So all that is very important, is what I feel.
And Manu, how do you hire people? And like, I think I've already asked, you've already touched upon it, but what do you look for in people when you hire them?
So what I look for is I look for great attitude more than the skill, especially in management positions, right? Obviously, in certain areas where skill is required, it's 80% of the job. Obviously, skill is the most important. But when it comes to management positions, I look at attitude, and then comes the skill. I can always teach them the nuances of my business, but then if they don't have the attitude and uh, emotional quotient, right? That's not that, then you can't manage people. Like, for example, Jack Ma always says that he doesn't know most of the things, but he's good at managing the best talents, right?
Managing the people, yeah.
So I look for people like that who can manage people, especially if it's an area manager or guy who's going to manage 50 stores. So that is very important. And if you take a look at me, I didn't know the basics of baking when I started. Okay, even now I'm not a professional.
Yeah.
I can't actually bake, but then it's not that is the most important thing, but managing people and getting work out of them. So that is very important. So I would put attitude first and skill second when I'm looking, when I'm hiring.
Wonderful. So I just have one last question for you,
Yeah.
and that is, what advice do you have for youngsters who are eager on starting a business on their own?
um See, first is the product, right? um, you should build a product that beats your competition fair and square. No question in that. If you don't get that right, then there's no point in stepping in. So first your product, then after that you should get the product should fit into the model for in terms of numbers. You should get you build an amazing product, but if it's 100 times more expensive than your competition, it doesn't make sense again. So get your product right, then it has to be on par with, in terms of pricing, your costing should be right. And then if you're stepping into retail, location is 80% of the business. If you have a very good restaurant, but if it's in some corner, nobody's going to come in.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe here now times are changing, digital and all that, but if you're looking at a chain of restaurants or any retail, location plays a vital role. So that would be my advice.
So basically, focus on the product. Don't be another Me Too
Yeah,
product. And
exactly.
then finances, and then The most important thing, especially for a business like yours, is locations.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Manu. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Akhil.
Great having you with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.